Hello, my name is Aaron Dowling, and I'm going to be making this video to help inform you about the differences between moving and still images. Now, part of our wiki is about animation and moving pictures in order to help in education. I'm going to make this video to demonstrate the differences between still images and moving images and why sometimes one will work better than the other depending upon what you're teaching. So when we present any kind of visual information, there are two main ways to doing so. One is still images. These images don't move, but they can portray a certain kind of information. It could be a single picture or several individual pictures showing change over time. The other method is by using moving images. Now, these images can come with sound in a video, or they can just be like the ones I'm showing right now, where they simply showcase the actual change over time in one continuous motion. Now, I'm going to show you two differences between these two and how each can be effective depending upon the situation you're in. Now, because I'm a physics teacher, I'm going to use physics. It's what I understand and have experience in. I know that one will work, visual images will work very well for this field, but what way I portray them, either moving or still, depends upon the lesson. So I'm going to show you a lesson that I've taught that uses both and why I'm going to explain to you why I use one or the other. So first, I'm going to introduce you to just two of Newton's three laws, just the first two. Newton's first law says an object in motion stays in motion, and an object at rest will stay at rest, unless acted upon by another force. This basically means objects will keep doing whatever it is they're doing until you interact with them. That's why your cereal doesn't go flying off the shelves for whatever reason, unless you go over there, pick it up, and then throw it. Newton's second law is actually an equation. It's the F net, or the net force on an object, is equal to the mass of the object times the acceleration of the object. If you read the math behind that a little bit more, it actually tells a little story saying that you need an unbalanced force on an object to cause an acceleration. And that's what these two laws are. Now, you can say them different ways, and in fact, Newton's original ways were much more Old English, flowery, very, very poetic, but it's hard for the students to understand. So these are the versions I use in order to make the easiest explanation for my students. So let's look at both these laws and see how still images help one and moving images help the other. First one we're going to do is the Newton's second law, starting with that one, because it's a math equation. Now this law works great for still images. This law is a math equation, and it shows how something will move based upon forces acting on it. Now to do this, first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a box. Now, in my class, I like to use some animation, little characters in order to help learn things. So I have a mascot for my class, and I'm going to draw him right now. My class mascot is called Boxy. Now, Boxy is actually magical. He can change his mask to whatever he needs to be. So he can be anything in the universe. That's what these boxes represent when you draw these diagrams. So Boxy here, for just the sake of this event, is going to have a mass of 5 kilograms. Now, if I were to push on Boxy to the right, I'm going to apply a force to him to the right. I'm going to draw an arrow to say, hey, there's a force going this way. Now, if he is accelerating means he's changing how fast he's going. And let's say that acceleration is 2 meters per second squared. All right, having some technical difficulties. I could take that equation right up here, F net equals ma. I could say F equals ma. I know that my m is 5 and my a is 2. Well, 5 times 2 is 10, so F equals 10. See, it's really easy to do this in a step-by-step process. I can see the box, I can see the force arrow, I can see the acceleration. So this works very well for still images. This is actually called a free body diagram. And in this free body diagram, in more advanced versions, I can draw arrows at angles and have to deal with it, the forces that act between them, and I can apply other forces in multiple directions and then see what's called the resultant force. So it works really well for easy level physics and advanced physics. And in fact, this works out so well as a step-by-step process that I actually teach my students this by using a step-by-step process. It's just a quick little diagnosis. See, first we start with a box, then we draw the force arrows, then we label everything, and then you put the coordinate system, and then I show them how the steps work. It's very rigorous, it's very easy to follow, and it works very well for still images. But let's go now to the next one. Let's move on to Newton's first law. Alright, so in Newton's first law, we have an object in motion stays in motion, and an object at rest stays at rest. So let's draw Boxy once again. Now, Boxy here has some force acting on him. We knew that from before. And he's accelerating. So yay, he's moving. Now, according to this law, he wasn't going to move until I applied that force. Okay, that's easy to see. Now, also according to this law, object in motion will stay in motion. If I remove this force, he is no longer accelerating, but it also means he is still moving. But how do I show that? It's really hard to figure that out. It's hard to visualize motion. If I were to draw a little like cartoon arrows behind him, you can understand he is moving because I drew a representation of movement, but there's a problem. This is not proper form. It is incorrect. This will knock points off if you're in any kind of physics class, especially higher level in college. That is improper form, and it's not meant to be there. Free body diagrams are very structured. So how do I show the kids motion when my diagram is a still image? Well, that's when I actually go to a video. And I'm going to show you this next video, but I want you to pay close attention to something. I want you to look at what the dummy in the video is doing after the car comes to a stop. Now, as you can see, the dummy kept moving. The car stopped. It was no longer moving him, but his mass wanted to keep moving. That's what Newton's first law is. Now, this makes a much clearer image on what motion is than a still image could ever give. That is one of the reasons why you need to use moving images instead of still images. Conceptual ideas, especially, have a very difficult time being translated by a still image, especially when you're trying to draw a representer of the event. Students will maybe identify the representer, such as the lines I drew behind Boxy to represent motion or movement, but not always. It is not actual motion. It is something that they have to link to another thought, which could slow understanding and connections. Now, I hope you guys liked my little video and you maybe learned a little bit about physics. I hope to hear good comments from you in the report. Thank you for your time.